is Sunyani, capital of Bono region. It used to be the capital of the Greater Bono region until a yes vote to a 2018 referendum led to the partitioning of the region in three. The region closest to the border with Côte d'Ivoire at Ghana's mid-section is Ahafo region with capital at Gosso. It was in a village near the border with Côte d'Ivoire that GTV Farmers Weekly filmed a post-harvest handling of cashew, either for the limited processing system or as raw nuts and shell for export. By the footage, it is clear that tending cashew at the source is manual and laborious. The material is poured on bare floor once it arrives from farm case for bagging. The produce is exposed and at the mercy of environmental conditions, particularly and alien floor sediments. It is purely their own headache, as it does appear cutting to end users of the produce is not that smooth. The men attending to the wares in their conversation expressed surprise at seeing television cameras pointing at them for the first time. They also appealed for good roles. At the stage, the cashew nuts were stuffed into sacks and the labels on them gave some idea as to what the conveyor belt or midstream destination might be. It is Ghana Cocoa Produce Buying Company, and thus affirms the placement of cashew under the purview of cocoa authorities. In the video conference that will soon follow those trailers, you will find the integral role of the Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana at Akim Tafo in the Eastern region in the affairs of cashew. In Ghana, cashew is grown as a smallholder crop and the commercial plantation sector is small. However, results show that as at 2016, a 1 hectare cashew plantation had a net value of 260 Ghana cedis or $43 at even 25% discount. A bag of raw cashew nuts, that is 100 kilograms, was quoted at 800 Ghana cedis at the peak period of 2018. This fell by 75% in 2019. These indices show that cashew production is profitable, but it is also subject to price fluctuations. The government of Ghana, in a bid to shore up local cashew producers, has made a strong indication yet, backed by legislation to establish Tree Crop Development Authority, which will place tree crops under proper schedules. Ghanaian cashew farmers experienced good prices for a spell in the COVID-19 lockdown, as local produce could not be funneled out in smuggling to neighboring countries, according to official reports. In the late 1970s, Ghana lost the enviable accolade, that of being the world's largest cocoa producer, and has since held the second spot. This seismic statistical variation is partly blamed on smuggling, with the countries benefiting from the trade anomaly moving on to open a gap by putting their own houses in order to put industries in shape. Ghana's response has been to raise producer prices. It remains to be seen what government's intentions are for the cashew industry through the pending Tree Crop Development Authority. Mofa says planting for export and rural development is the way to go. Members of the African Cashew Alliance could not congregate in Ghana's capital, Accra, for their 2020 conference, which happens to be the 14th edition. The event venue, which rotates among members, had to be put on hold, and members had to settle for video conference in the wake of society's new normal, which has been brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. On this online platform were speakers from Germany, Tanzania, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Ghana, and Côte d'Ivoire. The event was moderated by the Director of Crop Services at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ghana, Mr. Seth Osei Akoto, and Madame Maria Schmidt, who happens to be a high-flying officer of Cashew, also affiliated to GIZ of Germany. She spoke from her base in Frankfurt City in Germany. My name is Napoleon Atikito, and you're watching GTV Farmers Weekly.
For the first day of the conference, we will have a 45 minutes opening ceremony to be followed by a panel discussion on the theme, policies and their impact on cashew trade, which will be followed by a question and answer segment and a networking session.
Prices were so low, hovering around 6 grams, and that was not able to attract premium prices. Kernel out-turn ratios were also around 25%, which is below the acceptable rate. Following the survey, insect damage on nuts and kernels were around 8%. Leaf blight and fruit rot disease prevalence was highest, was around 50%. And climate change effects on cashew productivity was also high.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adujamfi. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the first presenter has just finished, and we have 2 presenters. So at this stage, I want to invite Professor Peter A.L. Masawid from also do the presentation. Thank you very much.
I'm going to make my general presentation on how to generally research can contribute in developing marketable raw cashew nuts and the cashew kernels. I am not going to be country specific because I would like this information to be cross-cutting between East and Western African countries, which are major cashew producing countries. A cashew is a tree of great economic importance, and it is very suitable to combat global warming, and it can produce apples and nuts which have several industrial and commercial uses. Cashew research in Africa until in 1990s. Even after 1990s, you'll find that some countries have not been supporting research in terms of providing adequate human resource, financial resources, and infrastructures. In countries where infrastructures are well developed, you'll find that they are lacking adequate human resource. What I mean by adequate human resource is to have research scientists and technicians who have the qualification of undertaking research trials.
Professor Masawe, the next page is
Yes.
showing cashew research.
Yes. Okay. Cashew research normally takes a lot of years to develop varieties or hybrids with the good processing quality. It takes a minimum of 5 to 6 years where you can select some few materials that can be taken ahead to develop varieties, or in countries where there are already existing cashew plantations, it will take 2 to 3 years to identify elite mother trees which can be incorporated into developing cashew varieties. In addition to that, it will take again additional 4 to 6 years to conduct genotype times environment interaction trials, which must be undertaken in different agroecological sites in order to see the selected material genetically controlled or they are environmentally influenced.
Presentation was delivered by Dr. Adujamfi from Cocoa Research Institute of Ghana. And the second one is presented by Professor Masawe, and he calls International Cashew Value Chain Specialist or freelance consultant. Ladies and gentlemen, now you have realized that we have 2 extremes research efforts being made in East Africa and then research efforts being made in West Africa. And we are very privileged to listen to both presentations. At this stage, let me also ask my presenters 2 questions. 1 question for Dr. Adujamfi and 2 questions for Professor Masawe. Ladies and gentlemen, if you see the background, this virtual meeting is being hosted at one of the research stations in Ghana under the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. It's called Wanchi Agriculture Research Station, belonging to Ministry of Food and Agriculture. So if you see the background, you are just trying to show to all our numerous viewers that we have a research institute under the ministry that we are trying to in collaboration with Cocoa Research, trying to duplicate our research efforts in these agroecological zones. Now the first question goes to Dr. Adujamfi.
Yeah.
It's so exciting to hear from Dr. Adujamfi and his collaborators from Cocoa Research Institute about the effort that you're doing about the clones, comparing clones, and then the polyclonal force. The results are fantastic. If you compare the clones, first 3 years giving us about 6.3 kilograms per tree, and that of the polyclonals 8.4 kilograms per tree. Now the issue is, Dr. Adujamfi, can you tell us why you think the polyclonal seeds are performing extremely better than the clonal seeds at this age? Thank you.
In the development of polyclonal cashew varieties, we combine contrasting traits, and when these traits are grown, there is a synergistic effect in that there is expression of different alleles that comes into play. For example, the polyclonal varieties were found to have deep taproot systems. They are very vigorous in terms of growth. So normally they come into early bearing. They are able to withstand moisture stress and high temperatures. So at the end of the day, you would expect that yields and in terms of nut quality are very high compared to the clones.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adujamfi. Now my questions go to Professor Masawe. In your presentation, you alluded to the fact that you will need about 5 to 6 years to establish Yi pros or fulls. May I ask, is there any way you can be able to reduce the number of years before you can accomplish this task? The second question, you also said to have an elite material or elite tree, the yields must be about 40 kilograms per tree per year. May I ask, due to all your numerous consultancies and visits to different African countries, have you come across a farm that is giving 4 metric tons, assuming that the plant population density or the recommended spacing that they use is 10 meters by 10 meters? These are my 2 issues that I want Professor Masawe to address. Thank you very much.
Coming to question number 1, there's no way you can reduce the years from 5 to 6 and below, because at the earlier stages of the cashew tree development, the yield in year 1, 2, and 3 are very low and sometimes unpredictable. So the only stable yields come from year 4, 5, and 6. If the tree management is good and the farm management is good, you can make selection at year 5, because you will have at least 3 years of data collection, which can help you to do the selection.
Very much. There is a question. Probably somebody wants me to share my experience also. The question is, who is paying for all the research activities in Ghana? Do farmers have adequate storage facility? Yes, this question, I will attempt to answer this one. May I say that cashew research started when African Development Bank and Ghana government funded Cashew Development Project. And it started in 2002, like Dr. Dujanfi talked about it. That one, you were having funding from African Development Bank and then Ghana government. After the end of the project, you also have been supported by GIZ Cashew to do some aspects of the research activities. Likewise, you're also having some funding from Cocoa Board.
Now, after a very successful opening ceremony, we will proceed to have the first panel discussion for the day. This discussion or this session will focus on policies and their impact on cashew trade.
At this stage, Mr. Seth Osei Akoto of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Ghana, will hand over the baton to Madame Maria Schmech in Germany to steer the second session of this video conference. It will focus on how policy impacts production on the African continent and elsewhere, as well as how global trade in cashew is to be consummated.
It's a pleasure for me to moderate this session today. And it's even more a pleasure to do that after all these very insightful speeches that we just listened to. I am happy to talk to you today here from Frankfurt. I would have been even happier to talk to you in Accra. However, I think it is of a wonderful sign that we are able to bring this conference in a virtual context and that we are able to dial in from all our respective destinations. So today's forum will be on the impact of policies on the cashew sector. And this is a large topic, of course, but it reflects a lot what we just listened to in the various presentations. Because if you have carefully listened, a couple of words came up over and over again. It was processing, support, policies, CICC, and how to resist and how to mitigate the effects of the current pandemic that is in all our heads, of course. As you know, in recent years, the cashew sector has been more and more at the center, the political center in the cashew producing countries, but also in the processing countries all over the world. The sector is characterized by long and complex trade links between Africa and Asian countries. And today we have the pleasure to have a dialogue forum here, a dialogue forum where we will be able to listen to the voice of an African processor, to the voice of Indian stakeholders, but also to the voice of the CICC in form of the designated Secretary General.
Last point, which is important, is that how we can increase the processing viability. Today, an African processor has to carry 12 months inventory, and he has to compete with Indian and Vietnam processor who carries a 3-month inventory. If we look at this and explore options of inter-Africa trade, it can be a great enabler in terms of increasing the viability and competitiveness. It might also bring in fresh investments from Asian processors into Africa. This is also for something CICC should look at it in the longer interest, is what I wanted to say in last. Thank you so much once again, and I hope it was useful. Thank you very much.
The cashew supply chain is organized so that it is produced in Africa, but processed in Asia and exported to Europe and America for processing and consumption. Actually, European and US markets for cashew have not contracted during COVID. Consumers have continued to consume snacks, particularly cashew, and market demand for cashew has soared. This only shows what a huge market opportunity that cashew presents, and the market continues to expand. Infrastructure like storage warehouses that would increase the bargaining power of Africa's market share is not currently available, so we really need to build on that.
The African Cashew Alliance, which organized this video conference, has issued a cashew barometer with more than 10-year outlook on global and country-level data and analysis. Ms. Achuko Toda of the African Development Bank, based in Abidjan, commends ACA for its role in the sector.
ACA has continued to hold virtual forums called Cashew Market Encounter, in addition to its dissemination of cashew market reports throughout. ACA's convening role and focus on market outreach for Africa-branded products is critical to transform the cashew sector. Like the previous speaker said, the cashew supply chain is organized so that it is produced in Africa, but processed in Asia and exported to Europe and America for processing and consumption.
Ladies and gentlemen, in 2019, the government of Ghana launched the Planting for Export and Rural Development program to promote development of selected tree crop for diversified export earnings, boost production, promote rural economic growth, improve household incomes of rural farmers, and create a sustainable raw material base to support the decentralized industrialization drive, the One District, One Factory, 1D1F. Under the program, a total of 15 million seedlings were produced and distributed to farmers of cashew and other selected crops. Over the past 2 years, through the favorable business environment and support of our partners, 6 processing factories that were shut down in the previous years were revived to increase our processing capacity and create additional jobs.
On Facebook and YouTube. The links are being dropped in the chat box so you can share with your colleagues.
The production hubs of cashew are Vietnam, India, Indonesia, and Brazil. The next production tier is Africa, where Cote d'Ivoire and Mozambique are frontliners of about a dozen countries. Other African nations in the slot are Tanzania, Kenya, Benin, Nigeria, Ghana, Guinea-Bissau, Senegal, and other coastal West African countries. The world cashew trade is balanced on the annual cashew production cycle. Poor or abnormal weather conditions distort the trade pattern, consequently affecting prices. Vietnam produces the year's first crop, and shortly thereafter, Indians crop in. At approximately the same time, West African crops are being harvested. Cashew nut oil is reportedly rich in selenium, zinc, magnesium, iron, and phosphorus. It is also great sources of phytochemicals, proteins, and antioxidants. The high percentage of selenium in cashews is not only good for your skin, but helps in cancer prevention as well, according to researchers. Cashew is linked to benefits like weight loss, improved blood sugar control, and healthier heart. Significantly, one research outcome shows cashew contains almost the same amount of protein equivalent of cooked meat. Several other properties bear positively on energy, brain health, bone health, and human immunity. It is quite startling that large DR Congo at the center of the African continent is found nowhere on the African chart as far as cashew production is concerned. Well, the production hubs on the continent are the west and the east coast of Africa. Tanzania, Mozambique, Kenya, and then the west coastline that Ghana can be found. In Ghana, the institutions that are into preservation and conservation of rare and important crop and tree species are the Forestry Research Institute of Ghana, based in Kumasi in Ashanti region, and the Plant Genetic Resource Research Institute, also based at Bunso in the Eastern region, both of which are institutes of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. Keep thinking agriculture. It takes you out of poverty, and it's also a stepping stone to riches. You just watched Farmers Weekly My name has been Napoleon Atu Kito.